reinforcing the need to reinforce in her mind that I want the separation. But she was preparing for that for a while. Of course she's going to support that still. You're unaffected because you've got all this other stuff happening.
2 nights ago, I was really feeling like a win. I felt like I was getting closer to her emotionally, like connecting. And then this morning we got up and she was like, Kevin, you're just not hearing me. I want separation. And I'm like, dang it, I want to get closer. I want to win her. I want to.
Yeah, but
and she feels.
Think about it differently. So if you feel like you're emotionally connected, you're getting closer, you probably are. When she says you're not hearing me because she wants a separation, just smile and go, I know you do, babe. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Thanks for keeping it real. Like, it doesn't really matter. We know what she wants. So you don't have to go back and forth. Acknowledge it, right? It's not the time for you to be like, well, I want something different, you know?
I think I've not been able to do that, really. I think my heart says, I don't want to. Yeah. And she can tell. Moment by moment, she can read me like a book.
Every wife can. She knows you better than anybody else. I joke. I'm like, it's like when guys say that they don't want, it's okay, I dropped all expectations of sex. And I'm like, man, your wife knows you better than anybody else. She can read between the sheets. She can read between the lines. She's on the same letter. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I think I'd encourage you mostly to think about it like this. You've got to detach from the outcome. The more that you feel like that part of, I just want her so bad, you're emotionally connecting with your wife, but she's feeling this smothering. You're feeling closeness, that you're draining her energy because you want her so bad. You want her to recognize the changes, the growth, the understanding. Most of you your wife doesn't even know you're doing a program, and you just want to like let it all out, which would be puking in a positive way, right? Most likely. But at the end of the day, if you've got to detach from it, you go get your life first. Right? Let me give you an example. So you're having a great conversation. You feel like you're getting closer to her, but you feel the energy of, say, purpose, right? You say you feel the energy of feeling healthy, doing your shit like that. You've learned a lot today. You had some great interactions with real people. Remember, this is relationary. This is not a marriage thing. It's you in communication, you in relationships everywhere, right? Kids. You should have hopefully learned a lot through the time of seeing your kids again, where you're connecting with them still, even though they're gone. You're reconnecting, FaceTime, Zoom, phone, right? You've got all this stuff going on, and all of this pulls you away from the smothering, man. Because now the time that you're connecting with her is just good connection time. That doesn't mean that she's not going to still feel the need to reinforce in her mind that I want the separation. She was preparing for that for a while. Of course she's going to support that still. You're unaffected because you've got all this other stuff happening. And then you're not it's like a no big deal. So I don't think you're hearing me. I don't want a separation. Yeah, babe. Thanks for being so open and keeping it real. I do appreciate that. Thanks, babe. Anyways, I got to run. Can we finish this conversation later? Because you actually have shit to do. Now you're not smothering her. Right? And you're not manipulating, you're not controlling, you're not trying to trick her. You literally should have stuff to do. That way, when you are together having those emotional connections, those conversations that bring you closer and connect you more, right? She's feeling safe. She should feel safe from the way you interacted with the rejection that you just got. You have things on the go, but she can still tell that you love her, but it doesn't feel smothering. There's much more to this, but that's overall, right?
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot, Cass. I think the detached thing is something I don't know. I struggle so much to do it, and I know she feels smothered and emotionally like, I'm looking for anything I can get, and I hate it, but it's the honesty. I wear my emotions on my sleeve generally. I'm a pretty open person, and she's not. She's been very hidden for years, and
well, she still is. She probably still is. She just hasn't been able to, right? When we nice guys wear our hearts on our sleeve, we think about that like a good thing and a bad thing, right? When you can realize it's like things like wearing your heart on your sleeve, that affects your everyday. So let's just say you are, I'm going to say you're praying for somebody, but let's say you're not even in the moment because you're hurting so bad about your own marriage that while you're praying for theirs, you have like a negative feeling, You know, you don't feel like you believe in yourself, that you're able to deliver that message. Whatever, okay? I'm just making this up right now based off what you do in your life. But this is the problem. It's why I say, like, even 7-figure earners could be doubling that, multiple 7 figures, if they weren't in the fog, right? This is why I say we are taught, go work out, you'll relieve stress. How many of you can go work out when you just had a big fight with your wife and actually feel like you're having a good workout? You focused on your muscles, or you're just pushing weight around, right? Even if you're punching a bag, it's not the same thing. And people fail to recognize that. They say, oh, no, it's good, I'm relieving anxiety, because that's what we're told. But be real. If you're feeling this shit, most of you are finding that that fog is messing up most of your other things in life. Now, what I want you to do is step out of that fog and take care of those other things in your life. And then take that energy and bring it back, right? You have to look at the overall picture. When you're thinking about saving a marriage, when she wants separation, she wants divorce, she's cheating, even if you're just fighting, you're enemies, you're fighting all the time, you know, like this is the stuff that's well beyond the roommate phase, right? Where we're getting along pretty well, right? This is the hard stuff. What I want you to think about is we are where we are because of this, because of all these things that happen. This is where the patience formula comes in. You could desperately want something. You might not remember because you're married for a long time. But when you met her, you were like, oh, I hope, right? There pretty much isn't a man that we don't know she's going to say yes when we ask her to marry us, but we also have this deep fear that she's going to say no. There should be no doubt that's why we're getting married. It's one of the factors. We both feel the same way, but yet we still do. Well, that's a nice guy thinking, right? What if she rejects me, right? What if I got it wrong? What if all the stuff that we think incorrectly? So if you can recognize that, Kevin, that doesn't mean, it's going to be kind of tying into what Kelly was talking about. It doesn't mean you're going to fix this overnight. You're not going to flip a switch and go, okay, I'm just going to detach from the outcome. If I lose my wife because of the way things happen, you're not going to flip a switch. But think about how I'm always presenting this down the road. When you're proud of who you are, what do I say? If we get to a motivate with boundary, it's part of the discussion is, I get it. If the old me ruined everything, I get it. But you see, like, I'm kind of half smile, it's crooked, it's not perfect. I'm just okay, I understand. There's no room for contempt. Like, think about how many times you've wanted to lay a boundary down when people tell, use boundaries. You know, and what do? We're saying things out of contempt and resentment and bitterness, right? And if you're in that position, you're not even leading yet, never mind asking or in a position to lay a boundary. It should be a lot like, sorry, I have to put do not disturb on my phone. It should be a lot like what I said with Kathryn yesterday, where it's, if the worst of the worst happened, I already know I'd be looking at myself going, what the hell? And it's the same reason, if you want to make it, take away the severity, guys, it's the same reason why you could be in a conversation with your wife and not agree, or anybody for that matter, but be open to hearing their opinion, understanding and knowing you might have got it wrong, no matter how right you think you are, right? It took me a long time to learn that, really, it's not even learn it, it's practice it to get it, you know? There are things that you will know beyond, think about the way I treat some of you guys, and I'm just like, no. There are things that you're going to be an expert at, let's say. You know. But none of this should make you feel any of that right now. And I'll go to Greg, I'll go to Pete. For example, they're really happy with their responses, not reactions. They're really happy with being attentive listeners, paying attention, understanding, just starting, conversations, being curious. Okay? It wasn't overnight. And now, and they're not saying they're perfect, but they're not going to also hold that against their partner, right? Greg, even at Greg, where he's saying, this is something I need, it's part of a reciprocal relationship. He's not weaponizing it. He's just expressing, oh, I think it's normal to be able to have hard conversations and not slam doors, right? It's no resentment over it. It's like, it's just not acceptable. You see the difference? The only way that happens is if you start these little things like this, which are actually quite big, but then the big picture of your wife, the outcome being your wife, will start to feel different. And when you feel different, she'll know it's different. Up until then, she goes, you're just changing for me.